Also shout out a couple of people real quick. My boss Joe for letting me put this on the hoist while we were building it. Thanks for that. That was really big help, obviously. Having a hoist in a workshop to do most of this car in. Jaden, who did all the wiring on this car, and then Adrian and Dan from Phoenix for hooking it up with the radio. So thanks guys. What's happening guys? Welcome back to another video averagely brought to you by Alfie. Sweet. So as you guys can probably tell by the title of this video, jumping into the old girl. So I wasn't going to make this video until she was completely painted and we could take her somewhere and do a little montage and all that kind of thing of the car and show you the differences. But we're in lockdown again, got a few COVID cases here in New Zealand, and yeah, here we are. So basically we're going to break down building cost of this car, because originally it was supposed to be a budget build. I'd say that this thing still is on the budget side of building a car nowadays for what's gone into it. Obviously I've gone a little bit extreme in some areas, and you guys don't have to do the same, so you could probably build this for a lot cheaper. But yeah, we're just going to jump straight into it, and I'll try to put some clips in here and there of some random bits and pieces that we've put in the car just so you guys can see the pieces, and then I'll show you the car and you do all of that. But we'll just jump straight into the cost, and then we'll break it down, I guess. So building this car for me, I rounded it up a little bit, was 18,500 New Zealand dollars, so a little bit cheaper if you were America or somewhere else like that. Actually, I'll just Google it right now, hey? About 13,000 USD for people that are watching from other parts of the world. Yeah, I'd say that's cheap. If you're talking about building a car nowadays, if you want to buy like a Silvia or something like that, you're probably going to be paying what this car owes me done just to buy something, and then have to spend all that money on it. If you're not spending, in New Zealand for example, if you're not spending 20k on an S15, like a non-turbo S15, or $15,000 on a non-turbo S14 to build, you probably aren't buying a good car. Just in my experience, seeing some of the stuff that comes through work and some of the stuff that's been up for sale, whatnot recently, of what people are paying for these cars now, like Silvias and Skylines and Chasers and whatever. If you're not paying on the high end of the scale, you're probably not buying a good car. So that was a big reason for me buying this. I wanted to buy a house as well, so I sold this S15, but I also wanted to have a car that was going to be cheap, semi-reliable and budgetable, because now that I own a house I don't have a lot of money, so this was the best thing. I still get heaps of parts for them, they're still super cheap. But anyway, enough of that, let's jump into it. So originally for this car, registered and warranted and still running, I paid $1,800 New Zealand. The manual swap, which is unfortunately only a G220, I paid $1,000, but it was with pedal, clutch, everything. I got a chassis mount shifter, that was $175. I got a DSR, so a direct shifter rod, or direct shifter linkage, or whatever you want to call it. That was $130. Boss kit, $75. The Nardi steering wheel, that was at no cost because just got that for me, so that zeroes out. But if you wanted to add it in there, $500. Seats and sliders, they're not real. I'd love to get real brides, but at the time I was building this car, when I first started buying all these parts, I thought I was going to get it on the road and certify it and all that kind of thing. I've kind of steered away from that now. Just yeah, I just can't really be bothered. It's going to cost a bit of money. I might do it later on, but it's not the priority right now. Seat rail was $240 for the pair. all the motor gaskets and stuff like that, so the rocker cover gasket, oil filter housing gasket, water pump, thermostat housing, you know, all of those things. That was about $610. The quick connects for the hose for the conversion was $165. E36 fuel filter was $120. E46 live control arms, $110. Tie rods and rack ends, $120. Engine mounts were $55 each, so $110 for a pair. Tome shift knob was $55, and then E46 conversion bushes were $200. That's the main bulk of it. There's a few other bits and pieces that I've done as well, like drift tech, rear trailing arm brackets for the toe because this car's quite low. Upper rear control arms, I brought a second pair like the spring bucket, and I modified them so it doesn't rub on the axle boots. There's Condor speed shop stuff, subframe bushes, reinforcement plates, diff bushes, shock tower plates, toe correction bushes, and engine risers. So that was about $1,000 New Zealand. 4-cylinder rad, that was from Phoenix, so I'm going to give a big shout out to Phoenix for that because I didn't actually pay for that. So thanks Adrian and Daniel for hooking me up on that one. It's a big part of the car, and probably, you know, that's a lot of money that I've saved, so huge thanks to them. That's roughly $650 if you were to buy it. Coilovers $1,500, camber arms $300, adapter spacers $250. These over fenders are made locally. I think they're felony forum replicas, so they're not real, but they're $650. Dad and I painted the car in the garage. You guys saw that was the last video. That was $1,000. I've got some genuine game doors for it, which I actually scored off Trade Me. They were $420, so I got this for really cheap. They're like $1,500 now. Cool wheels. So I budgeted between $2,000 and $4,000 for cool wheels. Luckily enough, I got 8 wheels in total from Japan for $4,100. So not necessarily a necessity when building this car, but I know it's something that I wanted, so you don't have to spend $4,000 on wheels. 326 power rear springs to get it nice and low. M54b30 engine replacement swap, that was $1,600. This car was originally a 328, but it had low compression on a couple of cylinders, so I opted to go for the M54 route, which was obviously a huge cost. $180 of spark plugs, and then plugs and wiring from pick apart were $130, which brings us up to $18,500. So if we want to break the cost down a wee bit, there is a lot that you guys could save on. You don't need to go wide body, you don't need to have, you know, genuine wheels and 8 of them. You don't need to have the rear spoiler, you don't need to have gander doors. So, you know, you're looking at $6 grand right there savings. Obviously you're gonna have to replace a few things there, like you're gonna have to buy wheels, so you might put $1,000 back into that. But the rear suspension setup and stuff that I've all done, you won't have to do any of that. So, you know, you could be looking at building a car like this with an M54 swap for $12,000 New Zealand dollars, which in my opinion is pretty cheap. So without further ado, I'll grab the camera and I'll show you some of the details and some of the stuff just so you guys can see it if you haven't seen it before. And then yeah, that'll be it, I guess. Just a quick one while I'm in lockdown, but I thought I'd better bring you something. So thanks for watching. Comment below what you guys think about the pricing and stuff of this, if you think it was still affordable, if you think I spent too much in terms of being an affordable car, and just the car market in general for these and Silvias and anything that's rear-wheel drive now. Just let me know what you think down below, maybe I'll make another video on it. Cheers. So just jumping into some of the finer details here. So obviously you can see we got the wide body on it, the over fenders, so just to push it out to make it a bit more aggressive front and rear. This kind of just also helps because I wanted to run Japanese wheels, but I didn't want to do a stud conversion in the hub. So with these adapter spacers and the wheels, it kind of makes it a bit easier to make them all fit. I've obviously just worked out the offsets and stuff like that and spacing to make them fit how I want them to fit. But up the front here we got one pair of the AVS, well the AVS Model 6s, Model T6s I should say, sorry, if we want to be real specific. They've been refinished and all that. We got some Urus NSO1s in chrome, and then I have a full set of these CR Kais in the work metal buff as well. So that kind of gives the car a pretty cool aesthetic look. Obviously repainted in red, so it looks really nice right now. I would jump under the car, but I kind of can't be bothered. So you'll just have to believe me, but there's E46 arms under there with all new steering components in the front and new bushes. Inside the car, obviously we've got the Nardi, we've got the short shift, the chassis mount shifter, sorry. Just a factory handbrake at the moment with a button that Billy gave me. Shout out to Billy for that. Got my fake brides and a water temperature gauge, because since doing the M54 swap, the factory coolant temp isn't working. But overall, I think what's been done gives this car a really cool sort of aesthetic look from the inside as well. We have the roof wing. Need to get that painted still. Not much is going on back here. Cool piece that my friend Harry made for me was these shock tower risers, or top hat risers I should say, sorry. So basically it just lifts the suspension up a wee bit on the shock so I can get some good shock travel considering the car's so low. We've got the reinforcement plates in the back. Not that she's overly bright in here now with the hood up, but you can see flash Phoenix alloy rad and the M54 all chomped away in here. A lot of people told me I need to get the top reinforcement plates for here, so yeah, that's something that I should really get onto, do the race at, but it's basically how she looks. Jumping over here, we got the Ganadors, just getting them all ready for paint as well. So these are off a Subaru. They seem to fit quite good, so if you're wondering, that's what they're off. But yeah, that's basically it, I guess. I would show you some more, but I kind of can't get the car in the air, so I can't really show you the other details. But there's 326 springs in there. There's all new bushes throughout the back, including trailing arm bushes, diff bushes, subframe reinforcement, all that kind of thing. So yeah, it's a pretty cool looking car now in my opinion. Obviously I'm a bit biased because it's my own car, but for the money spent, I definitely couldn't have built anything else that I like for this kind of money, so I'm stoked. So yeah, that'll be it. Thanks guys, see you at the next one.